Welcome back, my fellow agents. It is I, X7, your host of Zenrama, the podcast of heroes and monsters, and also GD Explanations. There's a new episode out about So I Married an Axe Murderer. You should all check it out. If for nothing else, just for the intro alone. Be that as it may, today is Tuesday, May 27th, and it's a freebie day. So we're going to be talking about the animated Turok movie, Turok Son of Stone, from 2008, which is relatively new for your humble agent. New as in content. Well, not new as in content, but new as in things that he reviews. But I did see it way back then, rented the disc, thought I had a copy of it, but that seems to have been gone away. And there's a reason for that, and I remember now. I did get this copy from the wonderful Internet Archive, which you can get both it and the supplemental material called Total Turok, which I did not watch and have not reviewed. We might do like a documentary episode with a couple of these sort of things if we can find another one, and we'll go from there. But having said all that, please like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, and just watch a couple more minutes longer. I do think this is a pretty interesting movie and adaptation of a beloved comic book. However, I think it's flawed in its presentation, and we'll get into that momentarily. So let's roll.
I am Turok.
He is a Turok anyway. It is better than the Turok Dinosaur Hunter comic books and movies that came out because who wants to hunt dinosaurs? But this Turok is not from pre Columbian Americas or pre Columbian North Continent. Anyway, we're just going to say pre Columbian, first tribes from pre Columbian, before Columbus inflicted himself upon this country. Anyway, it does have the Turok in it and Andar and then some others. And it's good mostly, but he is not pre-colonial. He's like when Valiant brought it out, he was 18th century. I think that's where it is because as we'll see. Anyway, we've got young Turok and his brother, who it's a young Turok, young Nashoba, and then young Katori is the woman there. They're both kind of vying for her affections. They run into these knob. Well, she loses her hairpiece. It's an important first act. The movie itself was released February 5th, 2008. It runs a whopping 73 minutes, and really the credits run 3 minutes, so the movie's only about 70 minutes long. It's short. We're going to try to keep this review a little under that too. So, but then they run into their enemy tribe, um, and I forget who. Does it have a name for Well, anyway, these guys, they're enemies of the Valley people, I guess. I don't know exactly the difference. They weren't really given names of um, the tribes weren't. But Turok suddenly becomes a warrior. Things go white, which is the only time it's used. Spoiler alert. He kills all of them, but then he also injures his brother there, and they don't know if he'll survive. And the medicine man comes out. They yell at they banish Turok. He's gone. He's out. Then we get the credit there, which is great. It's almost as good as the original Turok title from the comic book, which we have reviewed at least one issue of. The first one I ever read. But flash forward 16 years later. The tribe is about to be attacked by Chichak, who is the son of the man that Turok has slain earlier in his rage. And then we meet Andar here, who says, "Come help." He says, "I can't." Goes back, and Nashoba has survived and married Katori, or at least whatever passes for marriage. She's his wife and Andar's mother. So Turok is Andar's uncle. In the comics, they were kind of iffy about who their relationship. I believe that they were brothers at first, and then they kind of weren't. But we get the obligatory Braveheart sort of situation here, where then we find out that the bad guys, these are the ostensibly, are armed with flintlocks or some kind of rifle and guns. He's got two, not 45s, but well, people who know guns, but you know, there's a lot of this going on. There's a lot of blood in here, and that's my main complaint, if you will. It's not overly gory, but it's just a lot of red paint and killing and death and maiming, torture, etc. And I'm thinking, you're not if you want kids or to get a new audience, give it a PG rating. It was a TV mature, or whatever it was the rating. I never used it. It's adult animated science fiction, but how many adults would watch this? I know that even by 2008, comic books, the nerds had been winning, the geeks had been winning, but it's just needless. They didn't need it. They could have taken out this whole thing here, the whole fight, and just had Chichak. They could have shown it. They could have shortened it and done more dinosaurs and fun stuff and lightened it up a bit. The other problem is that the color tones are all these reds and blues and greens, and you don't. Well, that's just me. But Turok goes and cuts his brother down and and now he's going to go avenge him. So of course now Chichok's burning down the house, the teepees and such, or wigwams. Obviously he was just too tense. Yeah, I said it. And there is grown up Katori, played by Irene Bedard. These people, most of the voice actors were from Canada, it looks like. The animation, film Roman Productions, Classic Media, and Stars Media, and then distributed by Genius Products. It was on DVD. I would just, there's breaks in there for commercials, so maybe it was done that way. But great shot of Turok showing up with Andar after he tells him to stay. Andar never listens. Even in the comic book, he never listened too much. They never go wah once in the movie, though. So obviously, the comic book is a bit dated in its presentation of First Tribes people, but here they're pretty normal. I mean, they don't have any stereotypical accents or anything. But you get the fight. See, there's blood on the blade, and off they go. Chichok captures Katori, and she's telling him right there, "You'll never get away with this." And then they get into this valley here, and suddenly a dinosaur springs out with feathers. 2008. They should have feathers by then. At first, I thought it was a terror bird because it doesn't have any teeth. I don't even know what it's supposed to be, actually. But they kill it and wander on into the valley because Chichok's gone that way. We see a pteranodon who's got a slight bat wing there. Turu! And ankylosaurs. So obviously we get a herd of ankylosaurs, so that should make Garrett happy. And I'm assuming that's supposed to be an Archaeopteryx, which was still assumed to be. I guess they thought it was still a bird back then, but that's all right. I mean, it's got claws and feathers and flying. We have an Ankylosaurus stampede, and a Carnotaurus shows up. Now, the last one we saw was in Disney's, at least I remember, was in Disney's 2000 movie Dinosaur. They were the bad guy. They were the bad guys chasing the innocent herbivores. And this one is pretty much looking for food, and is pretty single-minded because it goes after him, and it chases him, and it chases him, and it chases them. It falls into the water, so they think they're safe, and it floats away, but then it reappears. That's a cheat. The animation is quite smooth. I can't say it's bad at all. I wouldn't. And then it gets stuck again. I mean, the chase just goes on. So some of I mean, for a short movie, some of the sequences could have been trimmed up, done some more stuff with while they're, you know, and it's in a tree. So, Carnotaurus charge. Okay, that's not quite as good as.
But I can. Pachycephalosaurus charge! He moved.
But really, what is ever going to be as good as Sir Isaac? Or is he a Sir? Well, Isaac Higgintooth displaying his love of one of a Packy. I don't think so. Here's a little more of the trailer.
Where are we? Must be the underworld.
No, they call it the Lost Land or the Lost Valley. I mean, it's it's a land, it's lost, it's a valley full of dinosaurs, it's a land unknown. I'm sure there's plenty of skulls. It's not an island though. Get where I'm going here? It's another dimension, and with voyeuristic intention, we keep watching it, but they can't see us. No, not at all. Yeah, okay, I went there too. But they get the Carnotaurus knocks him into the water and then keeps chasing him, just following him. Of course, they get away a bit once they go over the waterfall there, which is what they're showing right now. I will include the trailer at the end. And of course, down they go, and they survive. Surprisingly, thousands. Um, wasn't the greatest earthquake ever known, but they fell 1,000 feet below into the Valley of the Lost. Yeah, you're lucky I made it this far without going into all the cartoons and TV shows I've watched long before this. So, but they're not really on a raft. Well, they're a raft, but unfortunately, see, look there. I think those are brachiosaurs, some interesting looking sauropods. Sorry, Sabrina, and actual rhinoceroses, like current day ones, not woolly rhinoceroses or anything. Go figure. And Dimetrodon. So all of these prehistoric epochs and eras and eons and what have you are all mixed together. So again, it's a a kind of a trash bag of all the dinosaurs and other prehistoric animals, such as Dimetrodons, which are synapsids, pteranodons, which are pterosaurs and slash archosaurs, and giant dragonflies. But unfortunately, they're in the water, and something else. There's other things in the water. There she is. Uh, Now this one looks huge. I mean, huge. I thought it was an Elasmosaurus at first, but I'm guessing it's a plesiosaur based on what we see later on. And moving her neck in a way that they couldn't, but they hadn't quite figured it out. I think they had by 2008. So, I mean, they're not creating a documentary here, just trying to entertain you. And in this dimension, perhaps the plesiosaurs could move their necks like that. Now, Turok fills its head full of arrows. Can you shoot an arrow underwater? I meant to look that up, and I don't know. If you have an idea, or if you know if you can shoot arrows underwater, you'll see him do it in the trailer here. He's doing it right now. Well, let me know. But unfortunately, and I thought this was a Mosasaurus at first, look at the tiny little plesiosaur getting chomped. It's not a Leopleurodon, not even a magical one. But I'm assuming, I mean, that's just weird looking because they wouldn't have been doing that. I think it's a Chronosaurus. But once again, if you have any ideas, let me know. I mean, it tries to eat them. You'd think it had beached itself, but, it couldn't. So it just swam back out. Then they're discovered by the hill people, no, the mountain people, something like that, who are riding dinosaurs. I don't know how that works because I think that those would have been probably Utah raptors, but you can look at their legs. They're just some kind of mutant or some kind of further evolved dinosaurs. And then old Chichak finds these cave people. Now, maybe they're supposed to be Neanderthals, but they don't look like Neanderthals. They have black eyes. They can't speak. As we know, Neanderthals were pretty smart.
We have never seen others like us in the Lost Land.
The Lost Land. Well, it did originate before all of the things except for the Land Unknown or Skull Island, but Chichak kills him with a shot. He has a lot of gunpowder and bullets, which are round balls. Now here is, let me see if I can find out what her name is. Do uh, Probably Aniwa, who is going to be the love interest right away. And there is Sapinta, who is the leader of the mountain or the hill people. She's not Lothar of the hill people, but Sapinta. And Aniwa, it says, cut the long neck. So they're all in awe of Turok. And he explains that they're not from around there, which, duh, they can understand each other. So they must wander through that vortex to get into the Lost Valley. And Andar says, girl, yeah, I mean, obviously, when you don't have a lot of people in your tribe, you're going to do everything. If you can fight, you're going to fight. Right? Um, so there's the little romance that's going to start here. And she's fun. And they're like, well, if you want to stay, you got to do something. And that's to gather some eggs. So off they go. Guess where they're going to go? Chunk. Why would you steal an egg that's way too big for this pteranodon to have laid? Turu is not happy. I'm always going to call him Turu, but these are much smaller than Turu was in Johnny Quest, I'll tell you what. There's a bunch of them up there, all fighting, chomping on Turok, but he manages to ride one of them down. Now these two, Endar and I don't remember who what that's supposed to be. I don't know what his name was. They name him, brings him down. I love this shot right out of Dragon Slayer. I mean, they did copy quite a few things, but everything's been done, so what the heck. At least he doesn't sound like a spaceship. Chung, and guess what they have for dinner? So these two are laughing about, did he think he brought the egg back intact? Lo and behold. And now we have them, na 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 na. And old Chichak doesn't want to eat horse at first. Then he decides, no, it's pretty good. And he's looking for these people and these troglodytes. Let's just call them troglodytes, or Morlocks, more than likely, because there's a ton of them. They even have female troglodytes there, but they get marked as part of the tribe. But Turok's not around. And Aniwa decides that Andar gets an extra portion of whatever it is they're making. I wonder if they have like seasonings. But Turok's having visions. So, I mean, you can kind of figure out who it's going to be. It reminds me a tiny bit of the feature that ran with Turok in some of his early episodes, Indian Chief. Well, that was the name. Who put a wolf's, he was a superhero that put a wolf's mask over him so he could fight without anyone knowing his secret identity. See the GD explanations episode about secret identities. And don't believe a thing Lilith says about Captain Obvious. So he looks away and he's gone. Pulled the old Batman trick. Of course, he's a vision, so it's easy for them to go away. But you get some. They're trying come eat some of this stuff. It tastes pretty good. It tastes like chicken. There's your giant elk. They never last long. See, they got killed. There was an earlier shot where they get killed by a couple of probably actually velociraptors because they're not too big. This guy doesn't know his own strength and knocks Andar down. She laughs at him. She's teaching him to ride the terror bird. I'm just going to call it that because it doesn't have the big old claws. So somebody can tell me what a medium-sized theropod was, but we can make it up. Turok's he's going to leave. She gives him Septina gives him his weapons back, although he teaches him how to use the arrows and talks about how he got that. And then the final attack shows up. Uh, Chichok kills a bunch of these guys in a row, bloodily, messily. It's again, he didn't have to do that. And the troglodytes show up, and they take a lot to kill, so they finally start aiming at their heads, though, they with their arrows and things. And now he's ready to kill Turok. There's the bridge there, and this guy sacrifices himself to stop the rest of the troglodytes from coming over. Turok cuts it, and you don't get it. We don't get an extended bridge sequence like in Raiders of the Lost Ark, which just I'm kind of surprised. But now they're sad because everyone's gone. Our Phantom shows up because everyone wants to expel Turok and Andar and Katori, but Septina says, "Remember this: we fight every day." But they're going to go to not the happy hunting ground, but the summer hunting ground to get away, which is why they told Turok is beyond me, but something to keep you safe. And our Carnotaurus shows up. She's got some food for the babies, and they were going rough. There are no Eriops in here, frogs, so I'm sorry. There's no prehistoric frogs. Turok gets captured by Chichok, and he wants to kill the rest of the people because he's a jerk. They go on. He tortures them for a while, and I'm just like, nope, we're deleting. Or don't need to see that. And finally, they figure out who this. I mean, it's obviously the spirit of Nashoba, who says, who are you?" He tells him, and he figures it out. I mean, tells him that the Carnotaurus is the most feared thing in the valley. So there's no T-Rexes or Allosaurs or Albertosaurs or Tarbosaurus Batar. And dumbass Andar follows and gets caught, but they get away. They release themselves, and he brings the Carnotaurus to him and then gets to ride it. Now these two are having a discussion about why Septina didn't send anyone after Andar. It's my baby. So, and then the jerk shows up. The fight begins, and they do a really good job. And then right before he kills Katori, the Carnotaur shows up. You always fight for the ones you love, and she just wails on these troglodytes. Probably likes them, but unfortunately, one well-placed bullet takes care of Septina, even though they were having a good time, and that's why Katori's smiling, and then because that's how it goes. And now Turok's had all he can stands, he can't stands no more. He begins to Popeye Hulk up, do the Jerry Lawler thing, drops his strap, and he's retrieved the axe. Well, Chichak fires a bullet at him and grazes his shoulder. Unfortunately, not enough, and Turok hucks the the tomahawk at him, and now he's headless. And he looks a little like Dale Gribble. She takes a look at him. I love this shot. I got it completely accidentally, and I'm going to keep it because it's just an amazing picture. We might see it in somewhere, but they have this little meeting of the minds. She goes after the troglodytes, probably wipes them out, and it looks like they don't have that many left, but they do the funeral pyre. Turok says, "We are strong and we are many." And they're kind of many. They better hope some more people fall through that vortex sooner than later. And that's the end of the movie. And that was just the very thing at the end. I just like the gold key there. All right, my fellow agents, we did not get too much of the trailer here because I don't want to give too much away.
We need your help.
So you'll see the trailer at the end. But I really enjoy it. I just wish I'd have liked it. I would probably wanted to own it if it hadn't been for it's just needlessly bloody And that's just me. I mean, I know, but I think you would have gotten a far larger audience had they toned it down to maybe a, you know, TV 13 or whatever, just a PG rating, really. But for the most part, it's enjoyable. So you can watch it for free at Internet Archive. The trailer's there, and it comes with the dock. Like I said, the DVD now runs for hundreds of dollars, which is it's not worth it. Sorry, guys. I mean, I remember watching the doc and thinking it's pretty good, but overall, I don't know. It's I'll watch it in the future. Having said all that, that's been today's assignment. And until our next assignment, this is X7 signing off and phasing out.
I am Turok. Where are we? It must be the underworld.
We have never seen others like us in the Lost Land.
We need your help.
From blood follows blood.
Turok!